Stacy, here we are.
Michael. Ooh.
I am doing, if I was any better today, I would have to jump off the top of my house because today actually is episode 86.
Yes.
I mean, wow.
Awesome.
So 86. This is like a gargantuan year for like not only Stallone, but like you and I. So first, let's kind of take this apart. 86. What was happening in Sylvester Stallone's life?
Sylvester Stallone's life was Cobra. Wasn't that 1986? At least that's what, when I looked it up, he released Cobra. Am I right? Or am I wrong? Yeah.
86. Unbelievable.
What was happening to me in 86? That was right after my 13th birthday. As I mentioned, seeing Rocky IV, I actually saw it in January of 86. That was the day that my brain was programmed to like boys with brown eyes. And I had a crush on this kid named Vinny Stratton by Monday. So that's
wow.
Yes.
Wow.
All of a sudden, and I got to tell you, all the Italian boys that year all of a sudden became much more popular thanks to
see that
Mr. Stallone. Yeah.
Wow.
Vinny instantly had a lot of girlfriends.
What's Vinny doing today?
I don't know, but the weirdest thing is I trolled him. I'm like, God, I wonder what he's up to. I hadn't seen him, and it's so funny. I took care of his mother once when I was a nurse too. So weird how it all comes around, but he has 3 daughters. So I thought that was so funny. I'm like, oh, go figure. He has 3 daughters.
See,
the parallel there was funny. But yeah, he became a pretty popular kid in 7th grade in 1986.
Man, oh man, oh man. Yeah, there was a lot of that going around. I mean, there was in 1985, 1986, Sly is literally standing on the front of the Titanic yelling, "He's the king of the world." I mean,
right.
That's it. I mean, those 2 movies, Rocky IV, Rambo 2, Rambo 2, Rocky IV. I mean, they were just absolutely killer at the box office.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of influence, you know, I've always been a Rocky 1, Rocky 2 type guy. I thought the physical aspect of it was much more of what a guy could attain.
Sure, right.
Naturally, okay.
Right. I know what you mean.
Yeah. And so then as I got older, I come to find out that actually you could kind of gain a Rocky IV body without the use of anabolic steroids. Yeah, without food. Because a lot of that, like, see, people are really confused by this. It's like Sly was not that big in Rocky IV. I think he maxed out at somewhere between about 184, 185 pounds.
Right.
At 5'10", that's not a particularly massive guy. But because he's so chiseled, because he's so lean with a 31 inch waist, you know, you're 31 and a half inch waist, you're talking, he looks way bigger than what his actual measurements would suggest. So, but he always had a huge back, great shoulders, and great biceps and forearms.
Right.
But I'm not saying all you had to do is hit the gym twice a week and, you know, diet. You know, there's a lot you have to do. But there is you could become a version of Rocky IV. You could get that physique if you wanted to. You could go in that ballpark. I know a couple of guys who did it clean without any steroids. And so it is attainable. But for me, I just thought, no, life is too short for abs. Okay?
Right. Life is too short for not enough food.
Exactly. My mother cooks unbelievably. So there's no way I was sacrificing that. Okay.
Yeah.
So give me a 1.5 or a 2-pack and I'm happy. That's okay. I'll take that. And as long as I can stay flat, which clearly over the decades, something went wrong in my analysis and I wasn't quite as flat as I would like to be, but we're getting back there. But anyways, yes, so in 1986, I was a senior at West Scranton High School. And just to show how times have changed, you know, you were able to enter. There were like 5 or 6 doors to enter the high school. Now you have one door, the main entrance of the high school, which no one ever used the main door. Like,
yeah, that's true.
I think it was like salesmen or people coming to the high school for, you know, to conduct business, like HVAC guys or whatever. They would
Right.
come and they would like fix but that's it. Nobody ever came through the front doors because it was uncool. But because of the society we now live in, you only have one door to come in. Anyways, 1986 was incredible. I remember my locker. I would have pictures of Rocky 4, Rocky 1 taped up in the locker and everything. And all the other guys, they would have like, I don't know, Janet Jackson, or they would have like, I don't know, whatever.
Models or supermodels. Yeah.
Exactly. And I have a half naked man on my inside of my locker. Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
It's fine. So, but yeah, 86 was a very lonely year for me. I just, I wear that proudly like a badge of honor. You just couldn't really fit in anywhere. But Rocky was still a driving force. So I had cut my hair from the Rambo look that we showed in the last episode, and I cut my hair from that, and then I said, well, okay, instead of going directly back to the hat and coat, maybe we'll go to the Italian sweatshirt look, when he's cleaning the cars. And so right away I was able to find one of those, started wearing that around high school like every day. And this is before school uniforms, so you could wear whatever you wanted to wear to school. And so that was quite a treat. And I'm such a fan of that, because being allowed to express yourself via clothing, I don't think I would be here today doing what I'm doing if it wasn't for that, because now you got school uniforms, and I have definitely understand why school uniforms are in play today, but I mean, it would have killed my creativeness back then. Anyways, I'll read a little excerpt from Cue the Rocky Music in a few minutes about what my thoughts were, what I remembered in 1986. So anyways, that's where we were in 86. What else is happening in the Rocky File universe?
Well, I wanted to do a very, very big shout out to Rick Babcock, because in the mail yesterday, I got
Look at that beautiful beast.
Okay, Rick, I don't even have the words. The detail and the precision and the preciseness, the detail, like he got it all.
He did.
Can you see it good?
That's amazing.
And I'm not going to press it, but this button right here, if you press this button, it plays the entire length of Eye of the Tiger. It's so awesome.
And you can't stop it once you start it.
Yeah, it does play.
That's great.
It plays all the way through. But it's so funny because this is like really, you sent me the plates, and I don't know why I'm used to like wall decorating more than having little things like this, and so it's so fun. So this is going to be living back there, probably right in front of your plate.
You know what I've learned? I've learned to now I put like in between all these pictures that I have here. Like here, I'll turn this around.
Okay.
Over there, can you see the brown hat on the wall?
Yes.
Okay. To the right of the hat is one of the motorcycles.
Okay.
I put a shelf. So I put a little 3-inch by 4-inch shelf with a little bracket, and I just set the bike on it that way. And it stands out with the pictures in the background. And I now feel that is going to be the way I have to go with a lot of things, because I have nowhere else to go. I can't, I can only do so much behind me, because I have a lot of things, behind me that mean a great deal to me. So, but where there's a will, there's a way. You'll find
a spot. But Rick, thank you. Rick Babcock is so good to us. He does make our t-shirts. So if you want a Rocky Files t-shirt, or really any customized t-shirt, he does for several companies. And
Rick's insane. He's insane with this stuff. He's really, really great with it. So please look him up. He's just a great guy, and he's helped us out tremendously. I mean, nonstop. I wrote a little book, Stacy, a few years ago. Yeah. It's a little thing called Cue the Rocky Music. Okay. There it is. Yours looks in much better shape. I've gone through mine about 1,000 times trying to find what I've done wrong in life, so I could correct my issues. And I don't know. The answer does not seem to be within these pages. But that's okay. That's okay, because I thought I would read a little bit about 1986. It's only a few quick paragraphs. So, if you are ready,
I am ready.
Cue the slow, melancholy music. All right. By the time I graduated high school in 1986, I left the smell of grease for the distinguished title of grocery bag boy. Side note, I had been working at Burger King all through high school. I grossed a total of $3,086 that year. I needed about $1,500 every 6 months for car insurance. $86 for the year left me clever and creative on how I took girls out for a date. Not that there were many. 2 things came from this experience. Well, 3. One was my friendship with John Mulberry, whose path would cross mine again as the years moved on. We first met at the IGA, a local grocery store. John and I stocked grocery shelves together, and as far as jobs go, it wasn't bad, but what made it fun was when John went into Terminator mode as we stocked the paper towel aisle. In quotes, Mike, who am I? Taking a wide stance and searching for his Austrian accent, John asked, "Are you Sarah Connor?" Pitching his voice like a woman, he continued, "Why, yes, I am." And he motioned like he was forcing open a chain-locked door, pulling his yellow ticket pricing gun, chest level, clicking off several rounds. He finished by walking down the paper towel aisle in true Arnold Terminator fashion, leaving me in stitches. He turned, breaking into a famous song, Sweet Freedom by Michael McDonald. Final breaking character, he asked, "Mike, give me some." I said, "Oh, come on, John, here?" "Yeah, here. Nobody does them as good as you." Okay. Taking a deep breath, I began, my lower lip curled as I found my inner Rocky. "Yo, Adrian, how you doing? You believe all these paper plates and sporks? They're like everywhere, you see? Look at this, the toilet paper. I see these old tomatoes squeezing the Charbon. You know what I'm saying? Oh, Adrian, you listening? I mean, I don't want to bore you over here." John was one of the first people to encourage me to Rocky. He never judged me. All we did was laugh and stock shelves. Yeah, John knew how to break a rip. To this day, I can't buy paper towels without Michael McDonald ringing in my ears. The more I think about it, those lyrics sing true. The second thing was that this would be the last time I left a job on my terms. In the next 10 or 15 jobs, I would be fired in execution style. The third was the fact that no girls wanted to date a guy dressed as Rocky or any other character. I tried for a less intense style, sort of a Bruce Springsteen without the talent look. I would have more success bowling in a lake. That is the essence of 1986 for me. I went nowhere real fast.
Aww.
But don't you think, Stacy, that we have to almost go through these what do they call it? Not right to pass. What's the thing with fire? Rings of fire, not rings of fire. Trial by fire.
Okay, yes, I see.
Yes, you have to go through these trial by fires, I think, in life because you're only 17, 18 years old at the time. So you don't have a lot under your belt because you were just a kid not that long ago. You know, you were playing with your toys and so on. And then you're 14, 15 years old. You start getting a job, whether it's a paper route or sweeping up fabric at a local factory warehouse or something like that. So you're still protected by your parents in all of that. And so I feel sometimes, you know, at 18, we think we're the kings of the world and that we know what it is, what we want and what we're doing. But really, you don't know squat. You don't know anything. So you start going through these challenges. And when things don't go your way, when your parents can no longer protect you from your own idiocracy, then you know, you have to wear this now. You have to go through that and say, okay, I'm learning. That's what my mother meant when she said, be a little more serious and, you know, try this avenue instead of that avenue. And it adds up. Could you relate it all to that? Or were you always
my goodness,
well manicured?
No, I was middle school and high school, I was invisible and I practiced being invisible. I was happy with that. I didn't really appreciate being out front really until my early 30s. I was pretty good with just because I saw what people went through, whether they were quote unquote the nerd or the popular kid, and I was kind of the kid who talked to everybody. So I was listening to every perspective. I don't know. I was kind of a safe place for people to come talk to. So I was just, I would kind of sit to the back like, yeah, I'm good with all that drama. But your story that I loved the most was your friend. You know, that is such a key, important experience to have, that this is what true friendship looks like. Like, this is the guy that if your name came up in a crowd, he would protect your name.
Yeah, he's
And,
that type of guy.
so because he's not asking you to be anything different than you are. In fact, he's encouraging you. So I loved
Yeah,
that. That's what true
yeah,
friendship is. And I expect that my name is going to be protected in a crowd, as
right.
should yours. I
Yeah,
don't care what our little idiosyncrasies are. True
right.
friendship will do that. And so I'm glad you mentioned him. And because it's also, when you have that experience, you can
Yeah.
identify who your real friends are that you meet in 30 years from then.
Right.
So
Yeah, totally right. I mean,
yeah.
2 years after meeting him at the grocery store, he would become like really a co-defendant when I would just fly my flag of independence from the top of a parking garage in downtown Scranton. This guy really was he was by my side for a long, 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 long time, and he's maybe we'll talk about him again in the future. But
Yeah.
John was one of the absolute first people to encourage me Rocky
Mhm.
wise to
Yeah.
just go out and step out and go do it. Raise
Yeah.
that freak flag and go for it. And
Absolutely.
you got to love a guy like that. I
I
mean,
love
it's
you know what? It just reminded me of a quote. Your true friends notice when you're silent.
yeah,
He
right.
sounds like that kind of guy. Like
Oh
my
yeah.
niece is that way. She's like, "Okay, I haven't heard from you. What's going on?" That's a big
Right.
deal. Yeah.
Right. Totally. I remember there was a time too, right around I had met Sue. I had discovered this other character. We don't talk about it that often.
Mm.
But there's this other character that I was always hiding behind these characters, and his name was Andrew Dice Clay.
Oh yeah.
And of course, I loved Dice in 1988, 87, 88, 89. Dice was rising. I mean, he
Yes.
was at the peak. Not, I think he was peaking in a few years. Anyways, I would as I was lowering Rocky's influence for a short time on my
Mhm.
persona,
Mhm.
Dice was taking over,
Oh
and
dear.
that was a very difficult person to be around. And if you ever talk to Sue again, I'm sure you will talk to Sue again.
Yes,
You
yes.
should ask her about the Dice influence because I was very, very difficult to be around. It was,
Yeah. I'll
it
take
was
Rocky. I'll take
oh
Rocky all
yeah.
day.
Oh yeah. I was much happier as Rocky, but you go through life, they're like these shields, these
Yeah.
these suits of armor that protect us. And whatever it was I was going through back then at that time, Dice was the protection
Mhm.
intellectually I needed at
Mhm.
that point, or at least what I thought I needed.
A
So
voice, and I think they help you talk, finding your voice and
yeah, because that's what you are at that. You're
yeah.
whether you're finding yourself, whether you're creating who you are, what maybe it's a little bit of all that. Whatever
Mhm.
it is, it's a very temperamental moment. These are the building blocks. You have the building blocks that we get from our parents when we're
Mhm.
children. That goes into the ultimate bottom line core of how we are going to face the world as adults because that's all we
Right.
know. So
Mhm.
once you have those into place, now these are kind of like a Rubik's cube of blocks. We switch around blocks and we put them together. Do I like this? Well, I don't know. Let me do this for a week or a month or 6 months. It's all right. I don't know. I'm not that. I don't feel comfortable. And then we switch it up again, and I don't know.
Right.
We're Gilligan. I don't know, but we're
Yes.
something else. We're something else. Anyways, I haven't talked about Cue the Rocky music in a while, and I've been actually meaning to
Yeah.
go back and reread the book because I don't know. I've just been missing that part of me. So I
Mhm.
thought I'd go back and reread the whole book and
Yeah.
see what it was. What was the buzz about? What was the
Yeah, well,
buzz?
I'm slowly because I go back and forth, but my little yellow highlighter you see
Yeah,
right
it's still
there.
there, right?
It's still there because 'cause I'm highlighting you have the one-liners you have in that book, I don't they could all be bumper stickers. I don't think you realize that
There's a
because
few in there.
some of them are just so awesome.
There is a few. There's a few. I enjoy writing way more than I ever thought I would.
Yeah.
Man, if I only paid attention in school, if only my mother told me to pay more attention in high school,
Right. It's all
right,
her
mom?
fault.
It's all mom's fault. If only she told me to pay more attention.
Yeah. Oh,
Ah, I should have
oh,
listened.
please.
Anyways, we're done,
Anyways.
right? We're out of here today. Is that it?
Oh, my friend, we have a guest
We
today.
do.
We do, who is
Thank
just
God.
I did a little sound check with him, and I was in love with him immediately. Just a sweetheart, all the purity that Rocky teaches us. And I'm going to say his name right. It's Joe Mangiaracina. How did I do,
Nice.
Joe?
Hey,
Hey. Hey,
You
how
did
you
great.
doing?
You did great.
Good.
Hi.
Hi.
Joe, it's a real pleasure to meet you. Look at that shirt. That's amazing.
Pleasure to meet you too, Mike. I know we've shared some communication over the years, but
Yeah.
nice to meet you live.
You know, it's I always enjoy one of the things Stacy and I have said repeatedly is this bubble. There's no fan bubble like this in the world, and for Stacy to have this idea to do this podcast, and for me to come along on the ride and be part of it and share stories. The thing that is the best is that we get to meet these super fans like yourself. Joe, why don't you tell us what is it about the character of Rocky that brings you to us that you love so dearly?
Well, it's interesting. I jumped in while you were telling your grocery store story, and I was telling Stacy yesterday how my family owned a corner grocery, sort of like the Atomic Hoagie shop, right in Rocky.
Okay.
And
Here
so
it is. Here it is. Is that
there
it?
it is. Yeah. That was
market.
my uncle and my dad ran that. My grandfather actually started it. As an immigrant, he saved his money and opened up a corner grocery. My grandmother lived up over top of the store.
Okay.
And so I was 18 years old when I saw Rocky in theaters for the first time. And these characters are so relatable to me because Jerry, the meat man who used to come in and deliver the meat, every week, had the white coat on with the blood stains on it. And he was like Paulie, right?
Right.
And all the neighbors, it was an Italian neighborhood. All the neighbors that came in reminded me of those basic, solid, people who were like, just blue collar,
sure,
salt of the earth type people,
Yeah.
So it was very relatable to me. But when I was saying to Stacy, when I went to see Rocky, back then there's no internet, no, nothing social media, right? So it's a newspaper article that has an ad that says Rocky and critically acclaimed, right? I had no idea what it was about. Yeah. And so, I go in totally like not knowing what to expect. And I walk out of there just changed. That's all I can say is that I was shy. I was an overweight kid because my family had a grocery, so we never wanted for food, right?
Right.
I worked in the grocery and I stole my share of tasty cakes along the way, and stuffed myself. But that movie just motivated me like nothing ever before. And I think back in the 70s, exercising wasn't a thing. If you went to the gym, you were a bodybuilder.
Yeah. Right.
And jogging was just kind of coming into vogue. But, a couple of days after seeing Rocky, I'm drinking raw eggs and, running down the street, trying to get myself going,
So true.
So that's how it all started. And, it just lit a fire in me. That's all I can say. And,
are you an East Coast guy? You have an East Coast vibe to you.
I am. I'm about 20 miles north of Philly. So I'm not that far from you.
Gotcha.
I'm not that far from you.
Yeah, no, you're very close. You're very close. I got.
In fact, I was telling Stacy one day I was leaving King of Prussia and I saw your Yo Philly van driving down the turnpike, and I tried like hell to catch you and beeping the horn and trying to get your attention, but I missed you.
Don't tell my wife I drive fast. Don't tell her. She thinks I drive around 65 because I'm always critiquing her driving. She's like, well, I used to be really bad at it. But no, really, you saw the van on the road?
I did.
That's funny.
That's a riot.
That's funny. Yeah. Stacy, where do you want to start with Joe? Because I know we got a lot to go over here. Go ahead.
Why don't you go to the Balboa audition? That story I loved and hated at the same time.
Yeah. Well, after Rocky V, we all thought, well, that's it. We're never going to see another Rocky again. So when I heard that he was going to film another one, it kind of re-sparked my interest, in Rocky. It kind of faded a little bit. And so I noticed they were doing an audition, a casting in Philly in December. And so I kind of made a plan to go. And I have a buddy who's a photographer, took a professional headshot. And it was at Heary Casting down in South Philly, right under the Benjamin Franklin Bridge, I think it was. And it was one of the coldest days in December.
Look at that picture of you. You could be a leg breaker for Gazzo in that picture.
It worked because I'll tell you in the story, well, we waited for like 6 hours in freezing cold weather. And of course, I'm with all the Rocky fans. So we all just bonded and we had a great time. And they brought us in waves and groups, and they kind of were up on a pedestal looking down at us, trying to scout, scan the faces. And then they asked us to hand in our headshots. And then we left. It was really like a matter of 5 minutes that we were in there. So one day I get a call like 8:30 in the morning, and it's Hiri Casting. And they're like, we need a hero today. We're filming in Adrian's restaurant at the Victor, and we need you today. I was in Boston on work. So I was devastated. I was like,
that's crushing, isn't it?
It just was. I told them, I said, I can do it tomorrow. I'll drive back tonight, whatever it takes. But I never heard from them again. So I had my shot, Mike, and I
blew it. As De Niro says in Copland to Stallone, you blew it. No, that's so frustrating because that's what life is, Joe. Life is timing. So you can do things 1,000 times every day at the same time, and nothing remarkable happens. And the one day you are not there to do the same thing you do every day, that's that moment where something extraordinary happens. But you're in Boston. There's no way. I mean, I guess technically you could have quit your job and took a flight right to Philly. I mean, technically you could have.
I was close.
And then you really do weigh the pros and the cons of it. I know, because I was in your shoes. And I had to make a decision. Do I go to work or do I stay on the movie set? So I sympathize with you so much. So take us through just a little bit how you're feeling, knowing while you're at work, you could be at the movie, be in the movie with Sly.
Oh my God. It was depressing, I mean, it was like I had my shot and I couldn't take it. I got my shot like Rocky did in the first movie.
Yeah.
But what if Rocky never took that card and showed up at Juergen's office, right? He would have missed out on that opportunity. Right?
Seriously. What if Rocky was in like West Philadelphia collecting and Gazzo sent him over there to break bones, right? And he missed the timing and Juergen's was gone or something. Yeah. No, it's not easy. It's not easy. Stacy, what do you think about that?
All I'm going to say is maybe that wasn't the moment, and the moment is still on the way. I mean, and you said you're retired now, so now you have all this extra time to dedicate more time to trying to capture those moments. Because what are you going to do? We're all working, right? What can you do?
Yeah. Well, I think I made up for it though. I made up for it. I actually, and I'm going to say a bad word, Mike. It starts with C.
Yeah.
Creed 2. I was an extra in Creed 2.
Yes.
Okay, so now this is really this is a great journey. No, that's okay. Take us through that. How do you get to be there?
So, but by the time Creed 2 came around, they had just an email, application process. So you get your name on a list, and then they would email you back and say, this day, show up here. It was at the soccer stadium down in PA, and the set was in Media, PA, or Aston, PA.
The studio.
The Sunset Studios. I think.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
that's it.
So they put us on a school bus and basically trucked us over there. Huge bunch of extras, and it was a lot of sitting around all day. And they took good care of us. They fed us, box lunch and, kind of ushered us from one place to another. But when we finally got on set, it was the scene in the very beginning where Ivan Drago's son is fighting in Russia or in the Ukraine. I don't know what, but it was decorated, the boxing scene where he was knocking out all these opponents before they came to the U.S.
Gotcha.
And I got to say, movie making is one boring business because they shot the same shots over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So it was interesting. You know, I spent probably a good 14 hours that day there.
Wow.
It was interesting, but you know, I can say I was there. I'm not visible in the movie. I looked, I slowed the thing down.
I bet you
tried
did.
to find myself in the background, but you know, it was a great experience, and I met a lot of great, you know, Rocky fans,
right,
you know, during the process.
Nice.
Wow, that's awesome. Joe, I loved, you've been participating with us since the beginning, and I just wanted to show off some of these things. I did the beard contest, and then you sent me this, and I was like, oh my gosh. So that was one that I put up. And then during the Samaritan time frame, I did this one, and he sent me
Look at that.
Yo, look at that.
Jesus.
So awesome.
That's nice.
You know, and when we were talking yesterday, I'm going to show the picture in a minute, but the fake press pass story.
Oh my God.
I absolutely loved. So go ahead, you tell that story and then I'll show the picture.
So during the Balboa premiere, my friend Anthony, I have to give him props, Anthony DiFilippo. He's a photographer and we're best buddies. And he said, let's go down and figure out if we can get in the premiere. So we got down to the Prince Theater very early that day, and we met, I guess, the woman who was in charge of the theater, and my buddy had a fake press pass made up. So he's got this thing hanging around his neck. He's on with the press, and he made up some phony, you know, name of the press that he was with. And, you know, we'd like to cover the story today. And, you know, we did everything we could to try to get tickets to get into the theater, but we were unsuccessful. But he got into the press booth with all the photographers. He's right next to like Inside Edition and Extra, right there taking photos. And because I was with him, they let me stand right on the red carpet, right where all the stars came up. Right. And they literally built the red carpet around me. I was standing there for hours, not moving because I didn't want to lose my spot if I
right.
moved.
I get it.
So we had, you know, front row seats to that. And it was great, you know, seeing Stallone with his 3 daughters holding hands when they were little, walking up the street and, you know, people going crazy, you know, Burt Young and Milo Ventimiglia, who I'm a big fan of, you know.
Nice.
Met Frank, who was kind of standing behind the scenes there. Yeah. But, you know, and Frank, I followed Frank a long time ago.
This is neat. Oh,
when he was with Valentine.
Yeah.
After the Rocky movie, you know, they became kind of popular and they were doing concerts at the Quaker Ridge Mall in New Jersey for free.
Wow. Okay.
So I used to go see him, you know, back in the day. So it was kind of like a reunion with Frank.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
But anyway, you know, we got about as close as you could get to that, you know, premiere, and it was really exciting.
I'm gonna show you this picture right
there
here.
Look
at this, right in the center.
There I am.
Peeking out.
That's
this
awesome.
is adorable.
Look at that face, man.
I was beaming. You could tell.
Yep.
Man, oh man. Now, how old are you in that picture?
Let's see. That was 06, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. I was 58.
Gotcha.
No, I'm sorry, 48.
Okay, because you look like you're 38 in that picture.
48. Yeah, I'm 65.
Yeah. Gotcha.
All right, let's see what we got. Tell us about this little one right here.
Oh my God, that's my grandson Ross.
Look,
he's now 9 years old, but he's my little Italian stallion.
Look at that. I love the onesie. I love it.
Yeah.
Love it. And here's this is awesome. What brought you to wear this that day?
Halloween contest at work.
Oh, fun. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Everybody know who you were, or did they think you were like a 3rd-degree homeless person?
Oh, they knew. They knew.
Okay.
Anybody who knows me knows I'm a huge, you know, Rocky fan.
I gotcha.
They would expect me to dress up as nothing less.
Right. That's great. Does anybody pick a fight with you?
They better not.
They better not.
So your 50th birthday was at a very cool location. Tell us about that.
Yes, it was.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, we did it at the Victor Cafe.
And look at that.
Had a lot of my friends, attend, and we were right there on the floor, on the main floor. And come to find out, actually, my parents, when they were dating, went there on a date. And
You're kidding.
Because my mom came and she's like, I've been here before. I was here with your father before. So I was like, wow, amazing.
Jeez.
Yeah. That was a fun night.
Well, the thing about that place is it's the food is fantastic, but the atmosphere, when they start breaking into those little arias for 5, 6, 7 minutes, man, it's such an emotional experience. And it's like there's a reason why Italian food has captured our emotions. Now, anyone who knows me knows I am I'm Italian, but I'm also, if not more so, Ukrainian Polish. Okay, that's the bigger part of my heritage, but the Italian side gets embraced a lot because there's a romantic side to that. There's something with Italian food. So like when Polish food is like, there's a lot of, all right, kibasi, there's cabbage, there's a lot of flatulent foods that don't necessarily relate to a, I don't know, romantic, beautiful evening. But when you get pasta and the red and white checkered tablecloth and the candle and the dripping wax and the red sauce just perfectly laid and the pesto is off to the side and you smell the Parmesan cheese and oregano and the olive oil, there is something so intoxicating about that. And the Victor's captures that perfectly. And I suppose that is why they've been around for 100 years. They've been able to stay there. Now, have you gone back since your birthday?
I have not.
Gotcha.
I have not.
Well, maybe when we get a tour, we'll get you down there. We'll just take over the place and we'll tell all types of stories when we get in there, because there's some great stories. If those walls could talk.
I would love that.
Yeah. Joe has an epic idea for a tour with Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I first of all, I've been wanting to take your tour for many years, and
you're only 20 miles away.
Yeah,
Come on, let's go.
I had a job that was keeping me pretty busy, but I'm retired now, so I got nothing but time. So
there you go.
But I wanted to do a shout out to Nicky Petito, because he's my favorite guest that you've had on. I think he's a really funny guy.
Yes,
and
talented,
I would love
funny.
to do the tour with him and myself and you, the three of us. I think it would be a blast.
I love that. I love that. Nick's got so many great stories, and he goes in and out of characters, and he's such a funny human being. He really is. And I love his vibe, because there's this side to Nick where he's this he's that Tony Soprano side, very confident and braggadocio and so on, right? But then there's the other side. He's almost like a little kid at times. Where he can be very sensitive and very, very kind of like, I don't know, just like a little kid in the best possible way, like an innocent way. That's what I mean. And that's what I like about Nicky. So I would love to get you guys down, and we'd have a great time, man.
It would be a blast.
Normally tours are 3 hours. I have a feeling it would be like it would be like a double Gilligan tour, a 6-hour tour.
Right. No, you guys would have to do a lot of pictures and video clips, because that'd be a ton of fun to post for sure. Then the Rocky statue dedication, you were both there for that. So
we were.
Yeah. Tell us about your experience there.
So again, my friend Anthony had the idea to go down. I had actually been sick for a couple of months and was out of work, and it was the first time I was actually starting to feel better. So he drugged me out to the statue dedication, and we were there early, and I was right up against the fence on the outside. I wasn't with the VIPs like Mike, but I remember seeing this guy. I remember seeing this guy in a light green polo shirt and looking at him and saying, that's got to be a Stallone family member. the guy has like all the features of whatever. I figure you got to be related somehow to Stallone. I didn't know it was you at the time, but
I'll give you I'll give you that $50. I promise you later. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate that.
I seriously, I remember it like it was yesterday because I spotted you in the crowd and I was like, wow, that's got to be like one of Stallone's family members. You know, I was kind of looking for who all the VIPs were at the time, but what a great experience that was. It was
Wasn't it surreal, Joe?
It was like being in a Rocky movie.
Surreal. Yeah, it really was, because in just like you said, the Rocky movie, we get Rocky, the mayor, everyone's there. And the only thing missing was Clubber Lang.
Exactly.
Right? So, and for anyone wondering, there are 2 visits to the Rocky statue that Sly made. He made one, well, he made several, but there are 2 major ones. One is what what we're talking about now in 2006. It's the rededication of the Rocky statue. Then in Creed 2, 2018, Sly goes back to the plaque. There was a plaque that was made for the statue. It was a portion of the "It Ain't About How Hard You Hit" speech. And they had originally made that. It was supposed to be on the base of the statue in 2006, but it got lost in the basement of City Hall. All these years later, it turns up and they say, okay, why don't we get Sly to come over? We'll do another rededication and another welcome to Sly. So the mayor calls me up and says, Mike, come on down. And that's where, I got really, really, really tight with Sly. And those 2 videos are on YouTube. I really encourage everyone who's a Rocky fan, Google both of them. One, Sly's up on stage. Joe, what was there? 3,000 people, and the world press was there in 06. It was huge. And Balboa had not come out yet. Balboa comes out in December. And then in 18, of course, Sly had already had the 2 big comebacks with Balboa and Rambo 4, then the Expendables, and then the Creeds, and then so on. And so now Sly is a household name again. He's on everyone's lips. And so when he comes down to the statue, there's a bunch of press around. And of course, it went all over the place. So please check that out, everybody. You guys you might even see Joe in the background there.
So I actually, after the dedication, we knew that Sly was going to dinner at the Waterworks restaurant.
Out back. Yeah.
So we hustled around the back of the art museum, ran down the steps, and we were there to greet him when he pulled up in his Jag. In fact, I chased his Jag from the back of the art museum, but he wouldn't stop. I had a Sharpie and a glove in my hand chasing after him. But I finally did catch up to him, and I got this little ditty signed by Sly.
Nice. Where'd you see him at?
Right outside of the Waterworks.
Okay.
So he was going to dinner there, and we met him almost right as he was entering the restaurant, and he was very nice. He was like, hey, walk with me, guys, because there was a whole crowd of people coming, and he could see they were coming. And the Philly police put up basically a wall, because they really protect him, when he's in the city. But he talked to us for a couple of seconds, signed the glove, and said, "Have a great night," and walked in, to the restaurant.
Isn't that like top 5 best scenarios you could hope for? Because we hear these stories where fans are, celebrities are very rude and ignorant to their fans. Wouldn't that crush you, Joe?
Oh my God, yeah.
If he brushed you off or said, "Come on, get out of here, I don't have time for you," whatever. But he doesn't. He takes what little time he has and he passes it on. He knows what that signature is going to mean for you. He knows what looking at you for 2 seconds and having an interaction, he understands what that means, because the same thing could be said to himself with Elvis and Charlie Chaplin and John Wayne and so on. He understands the gravity of the interchange, and that's why I very, very proud and respectful of Sly, and I'm glad you had a great interchange like that. Did you realize that? Did you at some point, there's an energy about a moment where you realize, oh, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Is there any time within the a 5-minute or a 3-minute window that you say to yourself, "Oh, it's gonna happen"? Is there any point?
It actually happened after he walked into the restaurant, I turned to my friend Anthony, and we did like a Home Alone like scream, like
Right,
we did it,
right. Exactly. Great.
And it was
I love
surreal
that.
because when I'm standing in front of him, first of all, he's about the same height as me, and you see a
Yep.
guy on screen and you think he's 40 feet tall.
5'10", yeah, right.
Right.
Yeah. And I just got tongue tied. I was like stupefied. I felt like an idiot, like standing there. I wanted to say something
I know.
to him,
Yeah.
but I didn't know what to say, like I didn't want to fangirl him and, slobber all over him, about how much how much it means to me and everything. But,
At least you didn't cry in front of him.
I didn't.
Yeah.
Did you?
Some of us weren't that. Yeah. read my book, Cue the Rocky Music. I cried.
Yeah.
And it was horrible. Thank God his memory was not that good that day. I did ask him about that. Anyways, go ahead, Stace.
No, I was curious out of all the some of our standard questions. If you had to pick a favorite Rocky, what would it be? And if you had to pick a favorite scene out of the whole series, what would it be?
So it's for me, it's going to be Rocky 1, the original, because there'd be no other ones without that. And that's
True.
where that character, kind of broke through and became popular because of that movie. And, I didn't realize it at the time that I saw Rocky, but, and I think Sly says it's not a boxing movie, to me, it's a love story. And it's about how a guy who is alone meets somebody who completes him and brings out the best in him. And, his life really begins when he meets Adrian, and so, having time to really, think about the movie and look for the deeper meaning, that's what it is to me. But it's also, somebody who, who's an underdog, who has the skill, has the talent, but never given the opportunity. And when he does, he takes advantage of that opportunity. And it's heart, and hard work that gets him there.
Yeah.
As far as a favorite scene, the one that always gets me, I don't know why it chokes me up, but when Adrian tells Rocky on the beach that she lives with a fighter, when she says that, it just gives me chills.
Really?
Like how'd you get so tough?
Right,
and Adrian shows her tough side, in that.
Yes. My favorite.
Yeah. So
that's so awesome. Yeah. And speaking of Adrian's, tell us about this lovely lady.
That's my Adrian. In fact, her name is Andrea, which is close.
That's perfect. Close. I love that, Andrea.
That.
Yeah,
and she's got her Adrian shirt on, right? His Adrian.
Right. That's right before we went to go see the Rocky IV recut.
Okay.
But when I first met her back in 1981, I think, the first couple of times I was calling her Adrian because I couldn't remember her name.
That's funny.
I know. So
that's sweet.
Yeah.
Let's get through a couple more pictures. I want to see answering the call.
This was the Balboa premiere.
Got it.
People standing outside for that.
Oh, in 06, there's the tribute. That's cool.
Yeah. And there's me getting the glove signed by.
Oh, I like the ones on the bottom. Look at that.
Yeah.
Oh, those are good.
Yeah. This one, which I love, of course.
That was actually the picture for my 50th birthday invitation.
Oh, nice.
We actually, if you see that T-shirt, it says Rocky Experience on it. I was trying to actually start a business down there where we would set up a green screen and have you basically insert you into a scene in the Rocky movie.
Oh, fun.
And so, it was the technology was kind of, just kind of emerging back then. But thing is, I reached out to MGM because I wanted to find out, what the rights are and stuff like that. And they basically wanted 80%.
Yeah.
So we decided not to pursue it.
Wow. All your pictures here. Joe, you are just a sweetheart. When we talked yesterday, there's just such a softness about you and a genuine spirit about you. And
I feel the same way about you guys. I love you guys. What you guys are doing to keep Rocky alive and, just the Rocky verse, mentality.
Right.
I mean, we're all there, man. I mean, we, I think like you said, some people don't understand why we feel the way that we do, but we understand each other. We definitely do. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a genuine likability about you, Joe, and there's a calmness about you that I like. See, you have the calm gene. I don't have that. I have a hyper pin in the ass. Like the Benny Hill. I don't remember the old Benny Hill theme song, right?
Oh,
yeah.
gosh,
Okay.
yes.
So like that's more my brainwave patterns. It's more like that. It takes an enormous amount for me to find some type of calmness. And there's one thing I'm noticing about talking with you that I find very comforting. It's that easy calmness. You know, it's like over here, up here. Like there's none of that. It's just let's talk.
Yeah.
And I find I need more of that in my life. I like that.
Thank you. I do have that Italian gene though. I can get fired up at times.
Oh, I'm sure you can. Oh yeah.
I'm sure you can. I'm sure you can.
I have no doubt. Stacy, before we let Joe take off, I want to give Joe the floor first, if he has anything to say, then you, then me. So Joe, is there anything you want to bring up or talk about that we missed, or maybe that you might have an interesting story on?
Just I think that Rocky really inspired me to feel that I could achieve anything. The underdog mentality, if you work hard enough, if you put your heart into things. I was in business for 40 years, and I used to preach to my people all the time, if you believe it, you can achieve it. And you just have to work hard, and nobody's better than you are. Don't underestimate yourself.
Right.
You can accomplish whatever you set your mind to. And so for me, it was very satisfying because I started out as this overweight shy kid who really didn't have a lot of self-confidence. And in my 40 years in business, I rose to a senior vice president level in a technology company. So, I first of all, I gave credit to my parents because they were business owners and, they had that entrepreneurial spirit. But I think, Rocky kind of poured fuel on the fire for me and really took it to the next level.
Very, very, very interesting. Stacy.
Well, Mike, when you said his kind of calm demeanor, that's Rocky right there.
Yeah.
Rocky, he wasn't going around ruffling feathers, and then you said, "Oh, sometimes I can get there."
Yeah.
So can Rocky, but overall, he's a very calm, respectful, kind, considerate. Imagine that, just being considerate to other people. You ooze that. That's obvious. So that's very Rocky. So welcome to the bubble, my friend. You fit right in.
Thank you. Happy to be part of it. Happy to be part of it.
Absolutely.
Joe, 2 questions before we let you go.
Yeah.
1, you're going about your day. Whatever it is you're doing, Rocky is not a thought in your brain. And someone says to you, "Hey, are you a Rocky fan?" And when you hear that question in Rocky, what is the image in your brain that your brain goes to when you're being asked if you're a Rocky fan? Is it Rocky 1? Is it Rocky 5? Is it Creed? Is it Balboa?
It's definitely Rocky 1, and it's the image of Rocky at the top of the steps with the arms raised. That's it for me.
Gotcha. Okay, last question. You are in an elevator with Sylvester Stallone. You've got 30 seconds. What do you say to the man?
I think pretty much what I just said is that this character really, thank you. This character really inspired me. It gave me the confidence in life that I could achieve really anything that I set my mind to if I worked hard enough and put my whole heart into it. And so just thank you. I mean, it's been a blessing to have that character and see his progression throughout my life. Rocky Balboa is a different Rocky than in Rocky 1. And, in Creed, he's in a different part of his life. And, I've grown up with that. And so I can relate to all those things.
Definitely.
So just a huge thank you to him.
Stacy, I don't know how you do it, but you find the best people to talk to and have conversations with.
Oh, well, he was. You get an A+ for preparedness, my friend. I mean, I can tell that you actually read all the instructions because it was like bam, bam, bam. I got the pictures. You gave me the outline. I was like, oh my gosh, this guy.
I follow direction well.
You do, but you've clearly been like like you said, you were presenting, you have to be prepared. You can tell that you've done that. But no, thank you, Joe. You have a sweetness about you. And yeah, I really enjoyed talking to you. And it's funny, Mike, you hit the nail on the head. I really enjoyed it was a calmness that's like soothing, so that was really nice.
My kids will get a kick out of that comment when they see this. They're like, you, Dad?
Well, you tell them right. That they're pushing your buttons, and probably that's why they don't know that. Right.
Absolutely. Joe, thank you so much from Stacy and I and everyone watching. You were amazing. And until we see you again, my friend, keep punching.
Thank you, guys.
Bye, Joe.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Love him.
I mean, I don't know. I just talking with these people about Rocky, what it means to them, their experiences, where they've come from. I mean, he's clearly a lifelong Rocky fan.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to know there's other people like us out there.
Right. He is one of those guys that makes me go, why can't we live in the same town? Right? I just wish I want to claim a town and inform everybody that everybody's moving. And we need to be each other's neighbors. It kills me.
He's got to be just outside of Allentown, because Allentown is probably 35 miles from here. I don't know, 39 miles, give or take, whatever it is. And so I just get up on 100 North. I drive right up wherever he is. I got to meet him for lunch one of these days. I got to reach out and just go hang out. On a day I don't have a tour, Sue's working, I'll just drive up and, I don't know, take him to lunch and
go to coffee. And
right, exactly.
I'm going to harass Nikki Petito. I might cut out that little clip of his idea and send it right to Nikki, and he might be on board. He might be like, let's do it. So
Nikki, just come down. We'll figure out the details later. Just, we'll do a whole thing. But it'd be great to have Nikki do a little promo for us for this one, right? Hey, you want to go on a tour with me? Hey, forget about it. It's Tony, and then he could say Joe's name and bring up the whole thing. Hey, what, this guy is Joe, huh?
Oh, I'm going to bug him now.
You got to. See, if I do it, I'll just annoy Nikki. But if you do it, because you're so sweet and nice and innocent, and so girls get away with this.
Yeah.
Guys, no, I don't have a prayer, but Nikki will listen to you.
Oh, no, he loves both of us. Are you kidding me? He's always so complimentary to both of us, really.
Nick's a great guy. Great guy.
Joe, and I think the one thing I wanted to say, he said it best, is what Rocky has meant to him over the progression of his life. That encapsulates the whole thing. It is a lifetime application of this tool bag that Rocky gives us. Yeah. And he said it perfectly. And that was my closing thought.
Yeah, he really did. And that's something I include on the tours that I talk about. It's, growing up, when we did in the 70s and the 80s, you grew up every couple of years, you had a Rocky movie. So you could kind of partition your life and check in. Where are you at? Where Rocky is at? Where today it's on streaming, it's on DVD, Blu-ray, whatever. And so there was an element of, we didn't have social media, so we didn't know what Sly's thoughts were back in the day. You didn't have that access. Whatever interview he was giving to promote a movie, whatever article was being written about him, you had a little insight. So a Rocky movie premiere, it was like an event. It was huge. But we don't have them anymore. So now, when I see someone of our age range and a little older, he went through that. And so that's someone who can appreciate, not everyone that we interview can appreciate that. Every couple of years, going to the movie theater, bringing all that you are in that moment with you and the innocence that you are, or maybe not so innocent. So anyways, I loved it. That was a great interview.
He was great. And I said to him yesterday, to think that dropped into your lap at 18 years old. Oh, that's, talk about perfect timing.
Unbelievable.
Episode 86, folks.
That's
the whole story.
I'm sticking to it. That's it. I'm sticking to that story. Anyways, Stacy, where can people find you?
I am at Had Me at Yo, because it's true, on Instagram and the Rocky Files, but on Facebook we're the Rocky Files podcast. But I'm never over there, and I just want people to know that if you message me, it's going to be a few days before I even notice it. Message me on Instagram. And Michael,
okay, so Listen, I wrote that little book. Stacy's got it. Cue the Rocky music. You can find it wherever books are sold. There's a guy named Jimmy Toscano and his crew, Danny Janino, and a bunch of others. They did a documentary about my life. They pretended the dream is real, people. Check it out wherever streaming is. Amazon Prime, Peacock, streaming services. And come see me on my tour, the Yo Philly Film Tour. I won't let you down, I promise. And just keep checking us in on the Rocky Files. Stacy and I are here, and we're going to keep kicking ass and taking names.
Keep going.
Stacy, until next week.
Till next week.
Punching.
Keep punching. Bye-bye.